Gungar is the John Wick of Suo's story, holding Suo's spot as the deadliest assassin the world has ever seen. But shockingly, the same guy has turned into an ordinary high school student. But don't get it twisted, he still has the same skills and absolutely wrecks a bunch of thugs like it's just another Tuesday. Having wiped out his targets in the past, he now welcomes Suo's peaceful new life as a regular high schooler. But to get here, let's rewind to Suo's previous story. This dude is the strongest assassin of all time and was on his final mission to disappear forever. Targeting his mark, President Akagi shows godlike speed, reacting insanely fast to bullets and taking out everyone in his path. Akagi knew he wasn't walking out of this alive and begged for mercy when Hayate, also an assassin and Toji's best friend, killed the guy for him. The organization assigned them to kill Akagi, so naturally they shot the president and finished the job. Shortly after the death, Toji looked at Akagi's phone screen and saw a photo of him with his daughter. He no longer wanted to be part of the assassin life and officially retired. Toji heads home to his beloved girlfriend Mirai, who's waiting to cook him a good meal. On the way back, Hayate is there singing Toji's praises and how amazing he is as the #1 assassin. Even though everyone fears his name and reputation, Hayate thinks that actually helps in their line of work. He's already feeling sad because his best friend is retiring for good, but our guy is done with the job and wants to live a normal life. It all started when he met Mirai, his girlfriend. He wants a chill life with her and their dog John, giving him a warmth he rarely felt before. Hayate thinks it's going to be tough for an assassin, especially when all you know is killing. Surprisingly, this ruthless assassin is also a lover who wants to propose to his girlfriend soon. Coming back home, Toji looks sharp and welcomes his new normal life. He's nervous like a total nerd, getting ready to meet his love. The smell of blood puts him on high alert and terror looms over him. He wants to start fresh with Mirai, but just as he rushes in, his hopes turn to ashes. Mirai is lying in a pool of blood next to their dog. Defeated, he approaches her wondering what could have caused this. Feeling Hayate right behind him, he calls his best friend, who praises Toji for always knowing who's tailing him. Unfortunately, the organization doesn't want someone like him living a retired life, especially when he refuses to help them achieve their goals. Hayate thinks Mirai is a problem, so he killed her, freeing Toji. By Oda's will, he kills Toji just as he's already beaten, mourning the loss of the best assassin. In his final thoughts, Toji reflects on the harsh reality that a man like him could never have a happy ending and a normal life. And because of him, his beloved suffered the consequences of a ruthless assassin's actions who dared to dream too far. That is until he hears a bunch of voices whispering in his unconscious state, helping him out. Those voices seem unknown until he finally opens his eyes again. But this time it's no longer Toji the assassin and he's not dying beside his loved ones. The kid desperately tries to get out of bed in a panic. His vision is blurry until he looks in the mirror and realizes he's someone completely different. At this moment, the once most feared and ruthless assassin of his time is nothing but a young boy. Kaido is told he's passed all his tests and that his rehabilitation cycle has been successful for the past month. The doctor happily exclaims that the boy's lost memories will also return when he goes back to his usual life, implying Kaido experienced some kind of amnesia, though that's only part of the story, because for the Korean John Wick, the last thing he remembers is the heartbreaking image of his beloved resting in cold blood next to their dear dog. The man known as Toji, the deadliest assassin who wanted out of the dark life he'd led, was betrayed by his only friend Hayate. The next thing he knows, he's inside the body of a small kid, except his identity is completely different from the cold assassin he once was. There's way too much to untangle for him, but for now, the boy has gathered a bunch of stuff during his hospital stay. Apparently, Kaido, the original owner of the body, was tragically hit by a truck and became a victim of the infamous truck con while heading to school. The boy suffered a life-threatening brain injury, which required immediate surgery, and after falling into a coma for a month, he finally woke up. Except this time, it's not Kaido, but rather Toji, who's genuinely curious about the surgery process and how it was done. Unfortunately, he has no clue what happened shortly after he was killed. The last thing he remembers is a voice saying Toji's brain was perfectly intact. Putting the pieces together, he realizes they lobotomized him Kenjaku style. Confusion surrounds him about the exact details of the outcome of his death, but a rush of emotions takes over him. The same ruthless assassin sheds tear after tear, mourning the loss of his beloved Suo and his happy future. In the next scene, Kaido is discharged and goes to see his parents. Kyoko, the boy's mother, breaks down in tears like any mother would when seeing her son come home safe and sound. His father, Taro Fujiwara, is curiously a manga artist who also celebrates his son's speedy recovery. The boy's mother worries about Kaido's amnesia, while her husband tries to reassure her that everything will be fine once he returns to his normal life. Excited, they turn to their son to ask his opinion, but unlike their enthusiasm, all Toji can feel is fear. He understands that his new identity is tied to Kaido, but if anyone is connected to the incidents involving his life, that means things are about to get complicated. But for now, he smiles happily, assuring his parents that he'll be fine because deep down the deadliest assassin has decided to blend in for now. We quickly move to the part where they arrive home. Kaido experiences a real shock, realizing the kid is a rich daddy's boy because this house is huge. Turns out his dad isn't just some average manga artist. He's successful. Probably wrote Solo Leveling or something like that. And yeah, before anyone attacks me in the comments, I know it's a manhwa. Also, his mom comes from a family of a renowned doctor, so that counts too. Kyoko takes the boy to his room and upon entering, Kaido takes a moment to observe his surroundings. The assassin notices the neatness of the perfectly organized room and honestly it's no different from a typical high school student's space. Remembering the boy's parents, he recalls how both were very worried and frequently visited him in the hospital. This means Kaido is loved and cherished by his family and it reminds the assassin of his girlfriend's only wish that he be happy. This is the kind of happiness the assassin never got to experience because of his life. If anything, Assassin Toji doesn't want to live a life that ends up disappointing Kaido's parents. Strangely, he notices an interesting photo. This time it's not just the boy's parents but also another family of three. From what it looks like, the assassin understands he has to learn everything possible about the boy's background. The next morning, we have a new visitor. This girl arrives in a super long limousine just to visit Kaido, no matter that he was discharged only a day ago. She seems determined to see him because of their long relationship. The boy's father opens the door and finds the radiant Yusua smiling at him. She's eager to know how her friend is doing, asking what he's up to. Just as the boy's father is about to answer, Kaido peeks out and realizes Yusua is the same girl he saw in the photo. Without wasting a second, the girl squeezes him in a tight hug, showing her concern for his health. Kyoko is happy to see them reunite like always. As for our boy, he's carefully watching everyone's reaction and puts together that Yusua must be his childhood friend. She's excited and wants to invite him for a walk to school, but Kaido declines, realizing this girl's family is even richer than his own. Taro tries to step in, but Yusua pushes him right into the car, promising to take care of his condition. She turns around to announce a celebration party for Kaido's successful recovery. Both parents are stunned and go back to work while our duo heads to school. At school, a group of thugs, who look like street rats, are about to execute their plan. Tetsu, their leader, intends to mess with Yusua, although his friends are scared of getting in trouble for messing with Steve Jobs' daughter. With a fierce look, Tetsu reminds his clowns they're acting like cowards for no reason. He thinks they're already too deep since they accepted money from someone in particular, meaning they really have no choice but to carry out this job. That's the kind of people they're dealing with. While they discuss their nasty plans, Yusua's expensive bodyguard arrives, except this time they're surprised to see a boy with her. Their thugs explain he's just a normal kid who happens to be her childhood friend and recently had an accident. Hearing this, Tetsu is intrigued and approaches with a smile. In the next scene, both Yusua and Kaido split up to go to their own classes. The assassin takes a moment to assess his personality, believing she's a kind friend who cares for him like an older sister. Entering his new class, Kaido experiences a glimpse of normal life since he's never attended a proper school before. The clueless boy asks about his seat and a classmate is happy to see him, but that same kid's face shifts from a smile to a scared expression when he sees the imposing Tetsu standing right behind him. The intimidating thug messes with him, declaring there's no place for Kaido in this class and that he's coming with them. Shortly after, the same group drags him out while clueless Kaido wonders if he even has a desk here or something. Remembering how these guys laughed before, Kaido feels they must be mocking him, especially now that they're staring him down. Angry, Kaido demands to know where Suo is sitting, while Tetsu and his goons find the whole situation hilarious. Approaching the kid, the thug throws him a dilemma. If he can beg on his knees, then they'll be cool with letting him go with just a few punches. Apparently, this dude's got to stick up his ass because Yusua likes Kaido instead of him. Tetsu even threatens the kid that if he ever dares to come near her, he'll kill them both. It's hilarious that he's basically talking to John Wick here. Kaido takes a moment to process the situation, disappointed to realize these guys really are his enemies. He's sad, not for himself, but for the new victims about to get wrecked. The assassin didn't want to hurt anyone in the kid's crew. He intended to live clean. As a final warning, he calmly tells Tetsu that if he backs down, they can settle this peacefully. Of course, that comment makes the unwashed blonde punk lose it like he just had Taco Bell diarrhea with extra rage. This dude charges with a fist aimed to kill the kid in one hit, but my glorious king sizes up the attack's path, thinking this guy's a total amateur for throwing such a weak punch, exposing a million weak spots. The attack is so pathetically slow that Kaido doesn't even have to try and easily crushes Tetsu's confidence with a single hit. Realizing this calls for serious moves, he lands a beautiful palm strike to Tetsu's chin before slamming him to the ground with a judo throw, all at once, realizing the real world is pathetically peaceful compared to the hell he's used to. A while passes until Yusua rushes over to help Suo, only to see this guy radiating aura under the harsh sunlight. Turns out this guy wasn't in danger. He times the danger. Yusua is stunned, wondering if the guy in front of her is really the same Kaido she's known all her life. She desperately asks if he's the one who beat them up. At first, our boy hesitates and finally makes up the excuse that he got dragged into some pointless fight. Apparently, Yusua heard the news too and rushed to the rooftop to check on him. She wants to believe that a seemingly innocent kid like Kaido couldn't be involved in such a brutal brawl, but that's until she spots a bloodstain on Suo's neck, thinking he must have gotten hurt or something. Kaido tries to reason that he's totally fine, but Yusua is super worried and yells at him for making her worry like that. Suo's worry turns into sadness, unable to accept the idea that he got hurt. The assassin wonders what happened and apologizes anyway. They decide to head back to class for now, but as they leave, Kaido hears the grumble of the beaten blonde. Bro's pissed and plotting revenge. The scene quickly shifts to the night party Yusua planned earlier. Her parents pulled out champagne and the tastiest food from the table. I mean, who the hell did they hire for all this? Gordon Ramsay himself. While the kids' parents enjoy the moment with happy laughs, Kaido can't help but remember the image of Suo's beloved girlfriend Mirai, who often smiled just like that and urged him to eat fast. Hearing her words, this guy went from a killing machine to a eating machine. Even Suo's dog wanted to try the food. That same night, Kaido went to see Suo's girlfriend, wondering if this is what it feels like to experience a happy moment with your own family. That same feeling channels into Suo's current self as he finally experiences what a normal life is. Anyway, Yusua seems to be running late to the party. Even though it was Suo's idea to start with, the kid's dad exclaims that Yusua's been going through tough times lately, even though he never shows it and always puts on a brave face. Suddenly, a bad feeling starts creeping into the kid's chest, like his senses are warning him about something. Curious, he checks his phone only to see his childhood friend calling. He answers, asking how she's doing, only to hear the same punk's voice from before. The punk's happy Kaido caught on fast and invites him to go to a specific place based on coordinates. And if Kaido refuses, they'll make sure Yusua pays the price. By the way, the same girl and Suo's driver are being held hostage, so he's not joking around. Yusua's voice roars from behind, begging him not to come, but our guy already heard everything he needed and realized they'll hurt her if he doesn't act fast. So he asks for directions and the thug gladly gives them. The call ends shortly after and Kaido acts like he's chatting with another friend instead of her, telling his parents he has to run a quick errand. Kaido assures them he'll be back soon. The scene shifts to a dark, abandoned factory where nearly a dozen armed men wait to beat him up. But not just that, the organization's leader has also arrived while Suo's bodyguard is casually working out in the back. The man's pissed because Tetsu bothered to make the call and even throws a can in his face. That's why he's trying to keep a low profile, and getting called here out of the blue puts him in serious danger. Anyway, Kanea reveals she's captured Yusua to carry out the organization's orders. Apparently, they want to interrogate her about secret info related to Suo's inheritance, but so far she hasn't budged, constantly claiming she knows nothing. That's actually the main reason Tetsu bothered calling Suo's best friend, the same dude who's always hanging around Suo, thinking if they threaten to hurt him, she'll spill the secrets. That way, he'll have completed Suo's mission and, as a reward, Tetsu will officially claim Suo's spot in the organization. The organization's leader agrees, but warns the blonde about what'll happen if she fails Suo's task. See, Inukami, the muscle maniac, isn't the talkative type. His only orders are to kill, as he proves by throwing a weight so fast it knocks down a wall. Just Inukami's presence is enough to make the blondie piss his pants, because if he fails, he's next. Yusua roars and makes Suo's situation even worse, taunting them while Suo's assistant tries to calm her down. Unfortunately, that leads Tetsu to beat him up, stomping on him furiously because someone's trying to get between them too. He tells his goons to drag her assistant away and focuses on Yusua, assuring her that if she doesn't talk, Suo's childhood friend will die. Still, the helpless girl confirms she has no clue what he's talking about. Angry, Tetsu orders Kaido to be brought immediately. Right now, they've got 40 thugs with guns and a former wrestling giant responsible for killing a man in the ring. There's no way this kid's coming out on top. The blonde is absolutely sure Kaido won't get past Inukami, and in the end, Yusua will spill everything. The scene switches to our guy, who finally finds Suo's path to the factory. Outside, there's a bunch of idiots about to become his new victims. Walking casually beside them, the guy shows no fear while one of them quickly realizes he's Suo's target. But it's already too late because this dude dismantles them effortlessly with a painful neck strike, knocking them out instantly. With the 3 men down, the rest of the thugs rush forward, but it's Suo's judgment day as the high schooler sweeps them aside, pushing one of the guys into a container. With a killer glare, Kaido warns the thugs not to step into Suo's line of sight if they want to keep living their whole lives. And yeah, One Piece is real. Back to Tetsu, Suo's boss starts worrying that the kid won't show up, even wondering if the kid chickened out. After all, he's just a kid. but only the despicable Blondie knows that the one who fought on the rooftop wasn't a kid, but a demon. He tries to reason with Suo's leader, assuring him Suo's opponent isn't normal. Speaking of which, they hear their men chanting Fujiwara's name just outside the factory. Yusua is shocked, while the cowardly Blondie is terrified for Suo's life. The door slams open as a man's body is thrown like a paper ball, landing right at Tetsu's feet. Excited, the muscle maniac spins around to face Suo's target. Meanwhile, the seemingly harmless guy reminds Tetsu of Suo's warning last time. This man is struggling to hold back Suo's strength just to avoid killing these guys. Mr. Suo is baffled, wondering how a kid managed to wipe out 20 thugs all by himself. Casually adjusting his tie for maximum aura, Kaido demands to see Suo's friend. Yusua's scream echoes through the factory, worried he's come for her. Thanks to Suo's voice, he knows she's exactly 30 meters ahead. He's glad she's okay and scans Suo's surroundings for hostile men ready to attack. In what seems like no more than 53 seconds, this guy's speed tears through the room. He surprises the boss with Suo's divine skill as he takes down everyone around him. Even Tetsu is crawling like a coward, realizing they played and got caught the worst way. Death fear looms over him as our guy grabs Tetsu before clenching his fist, promising to make him suffer big time. In the next moments, this man throws lightning-fast punches, precisely breaking Tetsu's collarbones, lower ribs, and elbows. As if that unbearable pain wasn't enough, the dude slams him against the nearest wall with a simple shove. Mr. Suo's men are terrified and absolutely don't want to get hit by our guy. They want to run, but he reminds them he's paying them for the job. Suo is starting to realize the real level of danger they're dealing with. Suo's target isn't a helpless kid, but a monster. Thanks to being bandaged, Yusua hasn't seen a thing. He approaches her and assures her everything's gonna be fine. Just as our guy is about to unleash his ropes, the Colossus throws Suo's fist to hit him. The attack lands with a heavy blow as Yusua screams in panic. Suo thinks maybe they really have a chance to win thanks to the monstrous build of the ex-pro wrestler, but unfortunately for him, when the dust settles, it turns out the punch didn't connect at all. In fact, Kaido even threw a counter kick at his opponent, stopping him dead in his tracks. The maniac fighter doesn't care and gets ready for another attack, but Kaido dodges again and follows up with a devastating punch to his face. The hit is so brutal it breaks his nose, and yet, the fighter still thinks Kaido can't take him down with that kind of power. After trading a few blows with this dude, the assassin realizes he's dealing with the strongest guy in the group, and because of his current high schooler physique, it's tough for him to finish this guy off with one hit like he normally would. So instead, he opts for a different move. Just as the fighter is about to strike, our guy flashes and teleports out of sight, aiming straight for Inokami's ribs. From there, Kaido unleashes a heavy barrage of punches focused on one spot, kneeing and punching until the musclehead is terrified and knocked out cold. Call it David taking down Goliath. Seeing their crazy fighter get wrecked like that, the other 6 dudes bail, which is probably the smartest move they've made all day. Normally, Kaido would finish off his targets, but now he's got to worry about Yusua. He quickly unties her and flashes a happy face, showing how relieved he is to see she's okay. He assures Yusua that everything's under control and that Kawai, his assistant, will be fine too. Of course, this kind of traumatic situation isn't normal for a girl like her, which makes Kaido wonder if she's scared. But hilariously, she grabs his tie and instead of thanking him, totally flips out on him for taking the worst possible route. See, he could have easily called the cops or asked adults for help. But nah, Big Bro had to make a movie-style entrance and take on 40 guys solo. Still, Yusua thanks him for going that far to protect her, but it hurts every time he puts himself in danger like that. Her current state reminds Kaido of Mirai, who always told Toji to come home, worried sick she'd lose him someday. Kaido opens up to her and promises his friend he'll never make her worry like that again. Their chill moment gets cut short by Kawai's groans, the poor guy who got beat up for no reason. Kaido hears police sirens and realizes the cops are here, signaling it's time to head home. On the other hand, he barely escaped, not even understanding how the musclehead couldn't stop the monstrous kid. Apparently, this guy has his own boss, some kind of underground crime lord. This scary boss reveals he sent a Lancelot to deal with the kid. Now that the kid messed with the Grand Will organization's plans, he's gotta pay. But before that goes down, let's get back to our guy. He's back home, chilling in bed, knowing he made his parents worry by going off on his own like that. While they sleep soundly, Kaido remembers how worried his parents were when he got back. Luckily, the cops didn't detain him for questioning since he wasn't involved. As for the thugs, their mission and ultimate goal are still a mystery to him. Then there's the fact that their boss vanished after the scene. Looks like he suspects something even worse is lurking in the shadows. As he jogs away, he thinks about how he doesn't want anyone around him to get hurt anymore. Suddenly, a bunch of projectiles fly at him, making him jump into the air. The guy who fired them is genuinely shocked the kid dodged. By the way, Kaido already knew someone was tailing him home, which is why he came here in the first place. making it easy for him to spot the spy. Turning to the dude, Kaido questions his motives. The creepy bastard is impressed the kid noticed him even inside his own room. It's the first time he's been caught like that, confirming this kid isn't just some ordinary brat. Giving credit where it's due, Kaido praises the spy for covering his tracks and being on a whole different level than the thugs he faced at the factory. Just those two facts alone prove this guy isn't part of a normal society's gears, which raises the question of why he was spying on him in the first place. Kaido's stalker is pretty impressed and thinks the kid might have some ties to his line of work, but our guy keeps it simple, sticking to his identity as a regular high school student. Rejecting any more pointless chit-chat, the man readies his swords for their final showdown. The scene feels familiar to our protagonist, who recalls his past life. The assassin in front of him officially declares the end of Fujiwara to Kaido. The same guy is Sanjo from the Grand Will Organization, rank number 67. Taking a fighting stance, Kaido reflects that he was once a member of the same organization. Let's visit the Grand Will Organization's headquarters. Council member Akatsuki is frustrated because even after kidnapping Yusua, they couldn't get any leads. Akatsuki thinks they should have sent a spear for the mission from the start to just end things. Let's zoom out and focus on how important this organization is. This group can throw the world into chaos with 1,000 assassins under their command. Among them, the top 100 assassins are considered the elite and get the title of spear. Each spear is so reliable they have almost 100% success rate on every job. Among them, Minami and Akatsuki are no different. Minami reveals they're after a specific treasure that could change the world's balance. That treasure is called the Fenrir Seed, and Yusua is supposedly the current owner of this sacred item. Even though they don't have proof to confirm it, Yashima reveals he already sent Sanju for the job. This shocks him because before using a spear, you need Odin's permission, but that's the thing. Yashima already got that permission. First, they know Yusua's bodyguard is useless, so there's no way it was him, concluding there's more to the situation than they understand. He sees their enemies as a threat and wants them taken out by the spears. That brings us to the fight scene where Kaido realizes he's dealing with someone from the same organization. Sanju's stance is perfect and hard to read, showing his elite spear status. This also confirms our guy's worst suspicions that all the trouble around Yusua is actually controlled by the organization behind the scenes. It's not just a simple inheritance, but something bigger. Sanju quickly notices the boy's stance and comments that he's not really a high school student. The kid's fearless and stays calm even when pointed at with a gun. Feeling the danger, Kaido sees him as a threat to Yusua and lunges forward to take him down. The first hits are casually dodged by the expert assassin, who thinks the kid is insanely fast and hits his weak spots with precision. From this angle, Kaido really looks like an assassin in his own right. However, Sanju jokes, "This dude almost stabbed him in the face," making our guy keep his distance. From their brief encounter, Kaido learns a bit about his opponent's specialized fighting style. Sanju is a fighter who prioritizes reach to his advantage. The assassin is impressed by the kid's skills and decides to go on the offensive, launching himself into the air. The tables have turned, and although he starts with a butterfly slash, the assassin quickly shifts to a different stance trying to overwhelm our guy. Sanju's genuinely pleased to find his opponent dodging like a pro. Meanwhile, our guy is starting to realize he's way behind in strength and speed. There's only one way to beat an opponent like this, scanning the environment. As the elite spear launches a heavy attack, Kaido thinks he's finally found an opening to strike, but to his surprise, when he lands the final hit, Kaido casually slips out of his jacket before stabbing his neck with a precise twist. Surprisingly, the spear managed to dodge just in time and counterattacked with his own strike. The cut ends up wounding Kaido, blood dripping, and he realizes he's facing a powerful spear. He's realizing his own limits with a weaker, untrained body, while the spear is pretty impressed by the kid's attempt to catch him. He talks about how Kaido's refined moves show he's easily a pro in combat, except the only thing missing is pure killer intent. The only order he got was to kill a high school student, but now he understands why such a job was given to a spear. Sanju reveals Kaido is a threat to the organization's plans with Yusua, so he must be killed immediately. Thanks to his own confession, Kaido is now sure the organization is behind everything. Deciding to switch up his fighting style, the assassin activates his combat mode, striking a cool pose. He won't hold back, promising to show the true fragment of his killer intent. Sanju lunges forward with his crazy dragon dance, which is basically hundreds of sword strikes flying at our guy. The spear has gone wild in his pursuit and literally strips a tree with ease. Meanwhile, Kaido finds a safe spot to hide, realizing he's dealing with someone way above a normal assassin's level. The crazy tornado cuts through his cover, unleashing a geyser of water. After taking another cut on his body, Kaido realizes he's facing an elite-class user with a spear. His endless slashes are so insanely hard to handle that even our guy can't come out unscathed. Sanju goes nuts and accuses the high school student of being an assassin too, wondering if it's okay if Yusua gets killed as collateral damage. And well, that's where this dude messed up, because that line alone triggers Kaido's traumatic flashback sequence, except this time his girlfriend's face is replaced by his friend's. Furious, he lunges forward to confront the assassin head-on, pulling the sword from his hand, grabbing it, and quickly slashing his shoulder. Everything happens so fast that not even a spear expert can tell what went wrong. All he can think about is what kind of monstrous kid he's facing. Our guy refuses to feel the guilt and pain he had last time. That's why he promises to protect Yasuo with his life. The spear thinks it's useless to resist his fate, since he's going to die by God's will. Dude's down a shoulder and still wants to fight. His endless slashes are pointless now because Kaido matches every attack like a seasoned pro. Calling the high schooler a coward, Sanju leaves himself wide open during one of his attacks, reminding him who's boss. Kaido goes right behind him, painfully slicing his thigh and mocking the pro assassin for being so loud. Reduced to that state, Sanju can't help but wonder how this dude suddenly got so damn fast. Reusing the same tactics as last time, he tries to overwhelm our guy. It ends in disaster for him because Kaido leaves a bunch of cuts all around his left arm, showing there's no point anymore since he's read all his moves. On his next attack, Kaido launches himself at insane speeds, spinning like a top and cutting his way into Sanju's body. He considers the end of the spear guy who's still here, wondering how someone could master such lightning-fast knife work at a divine speed. The way he fights reminds him of Toji's Wrath, the #1 assassin in their ranks. Kaido brutally tears this guy apart until he's bleeding out in a pool of blood. The fight's over with Sanju realizing just how outmatched he was from the start. Gasping heavily, the spear trembles in fear, feeling like he can't move a muscle because the tendons in his arms have been sliced. But our guy's kind enough to leave him at least one leg to keep going. As for the rest, the killing machine makes sure his career as a spear wielder is done and that he won't be killing anyone else. Without mercy, Kaido says this way the assassin will lose the only part of his identity he values most. It's a fate worse than death, because these people can't even blend into normal society. But before leaving this dude alone, the kid lays down 2 questions, promising to painfully cut off his other leg if he refuses to answer. For the first question, he wants to know the name of the man who gave the order and why they're specifically targeting the girl. Laughing like an idiot, Sanju reveals he won't talk even if tortured or killed, since he's sworn loyalty to his one true god and will never betray his will. The mention of God confirms everything for Kaido, but unfortunately sirens start blaring everywhere. Sanju's recklessness attracted the cops. In that brief moment, the guy manages to use his one leg to escape. He tells the kid to get out too before they catch him. Before leaving, Sanju wonders if the kid really wants to be a normal high school student. That question takes him down memory lane, because Kaido remembers how everyone around him thought he couldn't live a normal life just because he lived as a cold-blooded assassin. Even now, covered in blood, that thought clings to him. Is this really normal? Can he even be considered a high school student? That question still hasn't been answered, but we switch to headquarters where Yashima gets the update on Sanju. He reports the spear has been effectively dismantled, to the point he can't keep working. Akatsuki is here amazed by Kaido's skills to defeat an expert assassin, radiating excitement. Izumi confirms whoever that was, he was a monster because Sanju described the guy's moves like Toji's, a name that grabs everyone's attention. Even Akatsuki thinks it's an overstatement to say that, comparing this dude to the strongest knife user ever. And Sumo gets their frustration, especially when Gunner's name isn't dropped lightly. Minami interrupts their confrontation, while Akatsuki complains about Toji's importance and specialty. Regardless, they think this random bodyguard of Yusua has proven to be pretty damn powerful. Not only did he mess up their plans, but he also dismantled a spear-level opponent. With this development, Yashima and the others can't wait any longer. All this leaves Yashima questioning the mystery behind Kaido. Speaking of our guy, he goes back to his room and secretly heals. He's having an identity crisis, knowing he's supposed to be an ordinary high school student instead of an assassin like he used to be. Unfortunately, he has to help Yusua escape the organization's watchful eyes. And then there's the fact they'll target him even more now that he beat a spear. With a body like this, he'll be lost, so Kaido plans to work hard and get strong again. If he has to keep this peaceful life, he has to do everything to make sure it stays safe. As for the Great Will Organization, Akatsuki volunteers and shows big interest in taking the mysterious man as his target. They're shocked, but Izumi thinks it's a great idea for a threat like this guy. After all, if this dude really compares himself to someone like Toji, a regular spear won't cut it. A curious Akatsuki is even happier to use Suo's position to handle the threat. By the way, this guy is no joke. He's ranked 9th overall and is one of the deadliest assassins out there. After a day passes since Yusua's kidnapping, Kaido's parents and the girl throw a big welcome-back party to celebrate Suo's discharge from the hospital. To show their love, Suo's dad presents the humorous he worked so hard on, though it's kinda hard to believe since the dish looks pretty cursed. After that, Yusua says she made something extra special for him while placing a delicious beef stew in front of him. With a proud smile, She tells him to try her masterpiece while it's hot, and the moment it hits his taste buds, our boy instantly flashes back to the past when he was leaving the house and Mirai asked if he'd be late again. But that time he told her he'd be home in time for dinner because he just needed to meet someone and grab some stuff without giving away his real job. Mirai was really happy to hear that because she was making his favorite beef stew that day, and that made him super happy. Then he told her with a passionate look that he'd share something important with her when he got back before leaving, and she saw him off with her precious smile and a kid named Johnny in her arms. While eating the beef stew, Kaido gets sad because he never got to tell her he was quitting his assassin life to be with her. Yusua gets upset seeing his disappointment and asks if it really tasted that bad, but our guy suddenly starts devouring his food like it's his last meal on Earth. Almost crying, he says it tastes delicious. Yusua is happy to hear that and Suo's mom tells him there's plenty more where that came from if he's got a big appetite. Watching Suo's dad fire up the pan, Yusua smiles with the cake and enjoys herself. Our hero is grateful from the bottom of his heart to have such a loving family. Later, he walks Yusua back home because things have gotten more dangerous lately. He asks if she's noticed anything unusual around her since then, but she says there are cops around her house, so she should be safe for now. Confused, Kaido asks why her butler isn't with her, and she says she personally told him to stay away because he's so annoying it's impossible to have fun with him around. Anyway, she lets him know she had a great time at his house, admitting it's been a long time since she laughed that hard. Her expression quickly turns serious as she confesses she's been pretty depressed since losing her dad. Hearing that, our guy is left speechless and Yusua realizes she hadn't told him yet because she didn't want to worsen his amnesia with such stressful news. She says it happened about 2 months ago, around the same time as the car accident that left him in a coma. Kaido realizes that's why he was so emotional about losing him back then, but she stayed strong and never let her sad feelings show, covering them up with her cheerful personality instead. Our guy apologizes for making her worry, but Yusua says it's no big deal and points out he hasn't changed one bit, surprising him. Then she thinks he's matured a bit, but even as a little kid, he had the habit of being reckless and fighting kids way bigger than him whenever they bothered Yusua, even though he always knew he couldn't win. That's how it was when she was kidnapped, but she couldn't see his amazing moves because she had her eyes blindfolded. Yusua gets suspicious and asks exactly how he saved her. Our guy dodges the bullet by saying everyone who saw him got really scared, which technically happened after he wrecked his comrades like a monster, making Yusua even more doubtful. Still, she thinks it doesn't matter as long as he's brave enough to come help her in a pinch. Yusua admits she was terrified when the gang threatened her and Kawai, but when she saw his face shining brighter than the morning sun, she was genuinely happy, so she thanks him. And being as charming as he is, our guy tells her he'll save her no matter how many times she needs it, making her blush redder than a ripe tomato. After that, the blushing girl yells at him to come closer and pulls out her phone to take a cute selfie with him. Proud of the good pic, she says she'll set it as her wallpaper to remember the amazing day, without realizing it might start weird rumors at school. However, Yusua murmurs that this will also help her move on. And seeing that Kaido can care for her so soon after his life-changing accident, she feels inspired to stop clinging to her dad's unexpected death. Our guy smiles, realizing Yusua is fighting just like him, and that motivates him to protect his precious childhood friend even more. Just then, he's shocked when she pulls out her phone and shows him a photo of her dad. His soul almost leaves his body when he recognizes who her father is, and he asks if the man really is her dad, to which she responds, Suo's amnesia must be serious because his dad was always so kind to him. With a serious look, she mentions that a lot of people around Suo talk trash about his father, but he was always kind to her, and that's why she loved him from the bottom of her heart. Looking at the photo of Yusua's father carrying her on his back, Kaido remembers seeing the same wallpaper before when Suo finished his last mission. Every fiber of his soul aches realizing he was the one who pushed Yusua's father out of her life. Seeing how sad he is, Yusua asks why he suddenly went so quiet, while Kaido processes everything standing in front of the daughter of the Akagi group's president, the man who killed in cold blood. He tries to rationalize it by thinking it was Hayate who pulled the trigger, and that he wouldn't have accepted the mission if he'd known it was his father, but he feels guilty because he blindly followed the words of the Great Will that said President Akagi betrayed the organization, so he had to be eliminated. He feels even worse because he felt nothing at the time and now he's also put Yusua in danger. So he considers telling her he was once an agent of the organization who ordered Suo's father's death. He grits his teeth in deep frustration, still unable to make a final decision. The next day at school, he sits silently at Suo's desk, while all the girls in class chat loudly about the new transfer student who's about to arrive, hoping it's a boy. That's why Suo's only real option is to keep protecting her at all costs. Just then, the teacher announces a new transfer student has arrived, and when the boy asks to come in, our hero instantly recognizes his voice, looking at him in disbelief. Glancing at the cheerful pink-haired boy, he wonders what one of the Divine Lances is doing at Suo's school, remembering the last psycho who came after him. His suspicion is confirmed that the Great Will sent this guy as a direct response to Suo's interference with Yusua's kidnapping. Suddenly, the boy turns to our hero and pierces his soul with a cold, relentless stare, openly declaring who his target is. There's no doubt at all that the pink-haired brat is Akatsuki, one of the 12 divine lances of the organization, codenamed Lance Vident. A little later, during gym class, the crowd goes wild for the new transfer student as he easily sinks another basket. The girls are head over heels for the pink-haired guy, while his teammate is genuinely surprised he can jump so high despite his short stature. Makoto brushes it off, saying that meanwhile, Kaido isn't letting his guard down at all, since it seems weird that Lance hasn't made a single move yet and wonders what he's planning. See, the Lances are an elite group of the top 100 assassins who are assigned numbers, and among them, the top 12 are known as the legendary Lances commanded by the supreme leader Odin. Each of these insanely powerful assassins has extraordinary skills that rival 1,000 men. When it comes to killing, these guys can easily crush the army of an entire nation. These elite warriors are only deployed for the most critical missions, which leads Kaido to conclude that it can only mean they're dead set on attacking Yusua. Kaido looks down sadly as painful memories of Suo's last mission hit him, realizing the assassins must be after the secret treasure the president supposedly stole from them. He's still worried that if Akatsuki decides to make a move at this school, can he really protect everyone's lives here, including his childhood friend in Suo's current high school body? Later, everyone returns to the classroom, but the students are still hyped about Makoto and keep begging him to join them for karaoke. He's an instant hit with the girls who start falling even harder once he reveals he practiced some basketball in the United States. Meanwhile, our hero watches the scene from a distance and realizes Akatsuki won't make his move today, making a mental note to stay alert tomorrow. Just then, he hears Yusua call him, asking if he can go somewhere with her after school. Our guy instantly rejects her offer without even listening, insisting she should just go straight home for the day. But out of nowhere, a hand rests on his shoulder and Makoto appears from behind, cheerfully greeting the girl by name, which immediately sets off all kinds of alarms for Kaido, who's seriously interested in Yusua. Makoto introduces himself, but Yusua points out he's already pretty famous as the new trendy guy at school and asks how he knows her name if they've never met. The cheerful transfer student tells her with a carefree smile that she's the high school girl who inherited the Akagi group fortune, which totally catches her off guard. Suddenly, she feels a bit down as Makoto continues, saying his dad owes a debt to the president, so he was instructed to look after her. But when he tries to invite her somewhere, our guy suddenly steps in, making an excuse that he hurt his finger during practice, and she actually needs to go to the infirmary. Our guy shoots a cold, deadly glare that convinces him to play along. The two guys separate from Yusua. She looks back with a smile and thanks Kaido for protecting her from strangers once again. Moments later, while the two are standing on the rooftop, Makoto admires the view and talks about how amazing the best time of a high schooler's youth is. Then he looks at Kaido and jokingly asks if he brought him here to confess his love or something, but our guy just keeps giving him the silent treatment. Makoto just laughs and goes on saying that Yusua is actually pretty cute in person, but he can't believe she's the president's daughter. Kaido gets straight to the point and demands to know what his real purpose is for coming here, wondering if it's revenge for the purple-haired guy. The transfer student looks as carefree as ever and casually asks if he's really the one who defeated Sanjo. He starts analyzing his physique and finds it surprising that he managed to win against San with only minor injuries. But our hero repeats his question again, visibly more annoyed with every second. The assassin finally drops his innocent act and admits he wants to get his hands on the secret treasure Yusua inherited from her father, fully confirming our guy's suspicions. Akatsuki goes on to say they don't even know what it really is and just want information for now. He offers our hero a chance to join his organization since he's stronger than some of their assassins. The guy adds that they only target bad guys, make good money, and Yusua might even give him the location of the secret treasure since he's close to her. Akatsuki flashes a nasty grin and warns Kaido it's a very good offer since both he and the girl might survive after crossing paths with the organization this way. Then he walks to the edge of the rooftop and extends his hand, warning Kaido that if he resists, innocent kids are going to get hurt. Our hero refuses to let him pass and immediately lunges at the assassin while unleashing a barrage of quick attacks. Makoto manages to dodge each one easily and compliments Kaido, saying he can rival a pro with those fast moves. Right then, our hero grabs his arm while revealing he knew the assassin would try to use bombs. The little cube is his unique assassin tool combining explosives and martial arts, well known in the organization as Biden's default method to wipe out targets. The mention of his codename Tom completely catches the assassin off guard, as he jumps back and yells that Kaido knows too much for an ordinary person. Makoto then pulls out 6 more bombs in his hands, grinning like a lunatic and says he's about to raise the stakes. With determination in his eyes, he jumps across the rooftop and tries to catch the bombs. He manages to grab the first three and quickly moves toward the others. Our guy then does parkour on the wall and uses his feet to catch the other three. Makoto watches the whole scene and states there's absolutely nothing normal about Kaido, but then he throws another bomb out of nowhere toward the ground. Kaido desperately tries to reach it while the assassin mocks him, saying he can't protect the entire student body like that. Our hero fails to catch the cube as it falls to the field below, while the lunatic snaps his fingers and detonates the bomb. Kaido covers his face from the explosion as the students below start panicking from the sudden blast and rush away from the area. Makoto assures him he set it to explode before hitting the ground so no one would get hurt, calling it a little bonus for catching 6 of the bombs. Kaido is about to lose it, but Makoto interrupts and offers even more bombs while asking who he really is and if he'll join their ranks. After thinking for a moment, our guy replies he's just a normal high school student and absolutely would never join him. Makoto looks genuinely disappointed by that answer and assumes Kaido won't be convinced unless some people die, but our guy just mentions a name in response, Toji. The mention of that name makes the assassin turn around with a wild look in his eyes, while Kaido calmly states he was once known as Toji. As the school speakers announce an evacuation, Makoto glares at our guy for even mentioning the name Toji. But right then he reveals he was just buying time, and before Makoto can process it, school officials arrive on the rooftop to check for any straggler students. The pink-haired guy gives him 3 days to decide whether to join them or not, and warns he'll regret it if he refuses. After that, students leave school early due to the explosion, and there's a rumor no one was hurt in the big blast. Yua asks Kaido why he's not going home. Kaido explains he has something important to do first and wants her to stay home, since the explosion could be another attack aimed at her. Right then, Kawaii shouts passionately that security measures have been increased and that he's started learning martial arts to protect Yusua, but Suo's over-the-top hype just annoys her. Yusua asks Kaido to text her if anything goes down, and he agrees, but as soon as she leaves, he turns to look at Mikoto like he's saying, "I'm not fooling anyone." Meanwhile, as Mikoto watches our guy, he's sure Toji wouldn't let anyone disgrace his name. Later, on the local train, our guy hopes he's managed to shift Akatsuki's attention from Yusua to himself, remembering that even though Akatsuki is the youngest of the Divine Spears, his skills aren't a joke. Clenching his fists, he thinks about how he's gotten used to Suo's new body, but he still has a long way to go before he can face a Divine Spear in a fight. That thought worries him because he could lose if they face off in 3 days, but that doesn't shake Suo's determination to protect Yusua, even if it means killing that pink-haired punk. Right then, our guy gets off at Shibuya Station and heads to the place where he was first killed. He jumps onto the balcony, wondering why he came here if Mirai wouldn't be waiting for him. When the door suddenly swings open, he wonders if it's a trap set by the organization, but despite that, he enters the apartment only to see the crime scene cleaned up, while the rest of the place still looks the same. Just then, he hears a noise and gets into fighting stance expecting an assassin, only to be surprised when Suo's dog, John, is there wagging his tail. John barks excitedly as the good boy runs to him, and our hero notices the frisbee held in Suo's mouth. The sight takes him back to the days when he and Mirai would go to the park to play fetch with John, and his eyes fill with tears, realizing the dog still remembers him. Just then, something catches Suo's eye, a photo of him, Mirai, and John together at the beach. It reminds him of the time they were on a road trip and she told him that even though she never understood the nature of Suo's job, Mirai always wanted him to be happy. He replies that he's satisfied with his life and that he'll die protecting her. But Mirai just says a dead man can't be happy and wants him to try living for once. Now crying like a widow, our hero regrets not being able to make her happy and that only memories remain. After that, he goes home and tells Suo's family that a couple had to give up the dog due to tough circumstances, so he brought him home and wonders if they could keep him. Before he can negotiate further, Taro immediately agrees to adopt the dog, and Kyoko suggests they take turns walking him. When they ask the dog's name, he explains the previous owners called him John. Later, he texts Yusua to ask if anything has happened yet, and she says things are pretty boring. She mentions hearing about Suo's new dog and asks if she can come pet him, but he tells her not to come now, smiling at his phone because he knows what he's got to do. After that, he calls Akatsuki, who mockingly asks if he's changed his mind since the 3 days aren't over yet. But our guy says he's done playing and is ready to beat Akatsuki's ass on the school rooftop before dawn, promising to end this once and for all because he is Toji. Hearing the name Toji, Akatsuki gets so pissed he breaks his phone in his hand. To him, someone like Kaido could never compare to Mr. Toji, who was the very definition of a perfect assassin. However, despite that, Kaido still dares to claim the name Toji right in front of him. 3 years earlier, in the Middle East, the two were on a dangerous mission together. At one point, Akatsuki made a critical mistake that left him completely surrounded by enemies. His left arm was shredded, and it was clear he was about to die. Just as he was preparing for the end, Toji suddenly appeared and took down all the enemies in the blink of an eye. Akatsuki thanked him, saying he only made it this far because of his intervention and urged him to return alive, promising to handle the mission from there. The next morning, the two meet on the rooftop. Akatsuki casually asks Kaido what he's thinking coming here to fight dressed in a school uniform. Kaido replies he plans to beat him first and then go to class. Laughing, Akatsuki says they both had exactly the same idea and adds that since yesterday, he's been thinking about how Kaido's moves were almost identical to Toji's. He admits he once wanted to be like him, but now that Kaido has made him feel Toji's presence firsthand, he'll never forgive him for it. At least not until he turns him into tiny pieces of grilled meat. Smiling, Akatsuki says he wants to share a little secret before they start fighting. He reveals he planted bombs somewhere in the school, and because his left prosthetic arm is directly connected to his brain, he can detonate them instantly just by moving his fingers. If Kaido loses to him, many people will die, and the only way to stop the bloodshed is by cutting the connection between his arm and brain. That leaves only two options: cut off his arm or destroy his brain. However, Kaido calmly points out there's a third option. The bombs can also be deactivated if Akatsuki is knocked unconscious. Hearing this, Akatsuki genuinely gets surprised, and Kaido explains that he already told him he knows Akatsuki. When Kaido gets ready to fight, he says he didn't come here to kill him, he just came to stop him. With a cocky grin, Kaido asks if Akatsuki really thinks he can pull it off. Then, out of nowhere, he lunges forward and unleashes an attack. Akatsuki manages to dodge it, but our guy notices his only edge is knowing Akatsuki's tactics and personality, because this body's physical performance isn't on the same level as his own. Akatsuki throws several bombs into the air, and when they explode, the blasts aim to destroy Suo's target's eyes and ears. Then he follows up with a left hook. However, since Kaido already knows this move, he quickly dodges and moves to strike Akatsuki's chest. In midair, Akatsuki twists his body and avoids the hit. Then he counters with a powerful punch, sending Kaido flying through the air. As Kaido steadies himself, Akatsuki comments that pulling back midair to soften the impact was the smart move, since a direct hit from his prosthetic arm would have completely shattered Kaido's arm. With a threatening smile, Akatsuki warns that if Kaido is really Toji, then this is far from his full potential. The punch had already cracked Kaido's ribs, and he realizes that divine spears aren't the kind of enemy you can beat just by knowing their techniques. Kaido thinks to himself that, as an assassin, a peaceful life was never meant for him. But if he's still alive, there's gotta be a reason for it. No matter who he faces, he'll win without killing anyone. He'll survive for the sake of everyone who cares about him. With fierce determination, he throws his strongest punch yet, and the two exchange rapid blows. But Kaido suddenly feels a sharp pain in his head. Akatsuki seizes the moment, unleashing a flurry of punches. Kaido tries to dodge, but he can't avoid them all. He tells himself he needs to focus more on reading his opponent's moves. Akatsuki delivers a heavy kick, sending Kaido sliding backward. With the distance between them growing, Akatsuki throws another bomb and detonates it. A massive explosion erupts, and he launches his final attack. But since Kaido knows every move, he's already ready. Akatsuki throws a full power punch, but Kaido blocks it, telling him he can feel his rage and killing intent, and that stuff won't break his will. He'll absorb all of Akatsuki's anger and swallow it whole. Akatsuki senses something's off and jumps back. Meanwhile, Kaido grabs his head, as his senses sharpen so much he can detect not just physical objects around him, but also the assassin's consciousness. Akatsuki is shocked by this sudden change in attitude and wonders what the hell just happened. He thinks he launched the last attack from Kaido's blind spot and wonders how the school kid managed to block something like that, like he already knew exactly where it was coming from. He pulls out some more bomb cubes and says things are starting to get interesting. He leans in with a serious look and says he doesn't know what Kaido's thinking, but promises to break his defenses with the next move. Our guy takes a defensive stance and realizes Akatsuki is attacking again. The pink-haired assassin drops one of the bombs behind him and uses the explosion to send another bomb cube speeding toward Kaido. A huge blast goes off, but our guy dodges by turning into SH and Wu and stepping aside at the last second, causing the bomb to explode right behind him. Akatsuki calls it impressive that he dodged his special attack, but thinks if our hero could be killed that easily, there'd be no point in sending an elite spear like him. But our guy just gives him the silent treatment and gets ready for whatever the pink-haired dude throws next. Back at home, Chuongan wakes up from the explosion, and so does Kaido's mom, who wonders where the noise is coming from. She wonders if it might be fireworks. Meanwhile, back on the rooftop, the two keep going all out. While still protecting himself with his fists, Kaido thinks that even though it's impossible to see Akatsuki's hands, he can still predict every move because he knows all his patterns. Akatsuki tenses up as he prepares his next move, but our guy skillfully predicts he's about to throw 4 bombs that should detonate about 6 feet in front of him. Just as the assassin is about to activate them, Kaido kicks them in different directions to scatter them, covering the whole rooftop with powerful explosions. Kaido manages to stay standing while shielding his face from the intense blasts. then predicts the assassin's next move and dodges a punch coming from the left. Our hero counters with a few quick hits, forcing Akatsuki to go on the defensive as he starts realizing something's definitely wrong. He wonders what the hell is going on since he can't even land a single hit. The assassin thinks Kaido's eyes and ears should have been out of commission a long time ago thanks to the bombs, not to mention the scorching heat that should make it almost impossible to breathe. However, the look in our guy's eyes makes Akatsuki feel like he can see through all his moves. It reminds him of his beloved Toji Suo. He remembers when Kaido said he's Toji, but that pisses him off as our hero yells at him not to mess with him. He demands to know if the high schooler really is Toji Suo, and if so, then why the hell did he show up now of all times? Meanwhile, Kaido is barely holding on, struggling to catch his breath, but still manages to keep his fists up. He realizes that even if he can read the assassin's moves, the kid is still way too fast and he can't keep up in this untrained body much longer. He jumps to the edge and finally decides to stop running. At the same time, Akatsuki thinks there's nowhere left for the dude to escape. He grabs a handful of bombs and thinks it doesn't matter if they can predict his moves. He dares him to dodge the attack as he throws the bomb cubes at our hero. Our hero focuses right then and charges forward using every ounce of strength in Toji's body, promising himself he'll never make anyone unhappy again. Akatsuki triggers the bomb, lighting up the whole roof like the sun, but Kaido keeps moving forward even though he can't see anymore. He senses the assassin in front of him and throws a punch, but Akatsuki dodges and uses the bomb cube in his metal hand while throwing a direct punch to our guy's head. However, Kaido reads it like a book, blocking the punch with his elbow, which catches Akatsuki totally off guard, and follows up the block with a devastating elbow straight to the face, but he doesn't stop there. He yells Akatsuki's name and follows with a fierce punch to the body, then finishes him off with a direct kick to the stomach. The hit shatters his metal arm and sends the assassin flying off the edge of the roof. He passes out as his body falls toward the hard, unforgiving concrete below. The scene then shifts to a flashback where the young assassin tells Toji to forget him and get out of danger, but our hero says he doesn't want a single one of his friends to die. Toji thinks that kind of mindset isn't right for an assassin, but that's exactly why he made his decision. No matter how big the opponent, he's going to follow his own sense of justice. Akatsuki finally wakes up and asks Kaido why he saved him. He replies that his only priority was to defuse the bomb and he never thought about taking him out in the first place. The assassin smiles and tells him he can't beat the whole organization alone, but Kaido stands firm that he will no matter what, because that's the only sense of justice he can have as an ex-assassin. The familiar words and gaze catch Akatsuki off guard, reminding him of Toji. While Kaido says it doesn't matter if it's the Great Will or Odin, he promises to defeat them all. That statement makes Akatsuki burst out laughing. He repeats Kaido's words and calls him crazy for even thinking something like that. To Kaido's surprise, the assassin believes he really is Toji. The kid smiles and says only someone crazy like Toji could say something so wild, while our hero just looks at him stunned. The pink-haired guy then switches to the main topic and asks why he looks like a stick when he should be 6 feet under. Kaido answers that he was sure he died back then too, but when he suddenly woke up, he was in Kaido's body. He points to his brain and says that for now, that's all that's left of Toji, which really surprises Akatsuki. Our hero goes on to say that the only one who could have ordered the strike is Odin, which makes Akatsuki go completely pale. Kaido then tells him he definitely needs to get stronger and asks Akatsuki if he'll lend him his help, which makes the assassin remember that scene again. Akatsuki laughs once more and tells him to stop joking already. He raises his metal arm and says now he can't kill him no matter who orders it, now that he's sure Kaido is him. Our hero asks if he's going back to the organization, but the assassin flat out denies it and says going back after a loss like that is impossible. Then he asks the kid what he plans to do now, and Akatsuki gets serious, saying he'll decide after investigating everything for a while, since he still finds it impossible to believe Odin targeted Toji. He tells our hero to leave too, since the cops are probably on their way, and jokes that the school will probably be closed for a good while. Our hero watches him walk away and starts calling out to him, but suddenly he collapses to the ground. He wonders what the hell just happened as he feels his mind fading. Meanwhile, some unknown assassins enter the scene and proceed to retrieve Toji as planned. A voice starts calling our hero, telling him to wake up already, and he wonders where the voice is coming from. His eyes finally open as he looks around wondering where he is and realizes he's back in his original body. The voice says again that he's finally awake and tells him now they're part one and the same. Kaido floats slowly toward him, making Toji's eyes widen in surprise. Kaido calls him again and tells him to protect Yasuo with that power, but Toji refuses to let go, while yelling for the boy and reaching out to him. Just then, he wakes up drenched in cold sweat and is greeted by a friendly dog face. Lying on the floor, he wonders where he is now. Meanwhile, downstairs, the parents watch the news reporting another explosion at the school. Both are super worried about the bomb blast. and Kyoko asks if they should take Kaido to the hospital while reading his messages, saying he got home early and went to sleep because he felt dizzy. The dad asks if she's overreacting and says Kaido is probably just wiped out from everything that's happened. He reassures her that their son will be fine once he gets some rest. Meanwhile, Kaido stares at the ceiling thinking his head still feels foggy and realizes he slept through the whole afternoon. He remembers feeling dizzy on the rooftop, then waking up in his room with his wounds already treated. He recalls that Akatsuki finally believed he was Toji, but wonders if he showed enough strength in this weak body to really convince him. That insane feeling earlier was like Akatsuki's emotions flowing into him. Without that, there was a good chance he would have died. He still wonders what happened to his body, but then his phone rings. Seeing the call, he answers quickly and yells out asking if she's okay, which surprises her. She immediately fires back the question, since he ignored all her messages since morning. He apologizes and says he's been asleep until now and is just glad she's safe. Then she tells him about the explosion at school that blew off the roof and that classes are canceled for a week, which he pretends not to know anything about. She senses something's off and asks Kaido if he's involved in this mess again, making him break out in a cold sweat. She starts scolding him, saying he's always getting into trouble, and even asks if instead of being sick, he actually got hurt in the school explosion. Kaido sits up and thinks this girl is as sharp as ever. He throws the question back at her, asking if she's been in danger too, then tells her not to worry anymore because he's decided no matter what, he'll protect her. Yusua turns redder than a tomato and demands to know what happened. She tells him not to distract her with hero talk. She keeps talking while downstairs. Kaido's mom answers the doorbell but finds no one and instead sees a package on the floor. Shortly after, there's a knock on Kaido's door and his mom asks if he's awake. She says there's a package for him left in the hallway. Kaido finds it suspicious since he didn't order anything, and his mom tells him to come eat dinner if he feels okay, while Yusua notes it's late and says goodbye. Kaido picks up the box and weighs it in his hand, feeling no traps. But when he opens it, his eyes go wide in shock to see his original assassin knife along with a card. He wonders who could have sent this to his house. Picking up the card, he sees a set of coordinates and tells himself he has to find the sender no matter what. Our hero wanders through Shinjuku following the location coordinates written on the note that came with his knife and notices that although the spot is near the station, foot traffic drops drastically. This makes him wonder if the note's sender might be hiding in a place like this, and he questions if it could be the person who transplanted his brain, theorizing it must be Kaden. He finally arrives at an apartment complex and immediately feels it would be the perfect hideout. He enters the lobby, but finding it empty, he moves forward. Eventually, he stumbles upon an entrance to a lower level and quickly suspects it's a trap set by the person who sent the knife. When he finally reaches the basement parking area, he opens the door and steps in, wondering why he was called to this place when suddenly he barely dodges a surprise attack. Seeing an arrow behind him, he spots the person holding the crossbow reveal themselves alongside an accomplice, and she comments that dodging the arrow couldn't have been a coincidence, since the real Toji could even dodge bullets. Then she adds it looks like our guy's brain is working fine and our guy, who doesn't recognize them, asks if they're the ones who called him here. But the crossbow wielder says he's not worthy of answers and loads another arrow. He fires, saying the hero must prove himself by defeating them. Our guy dodges just in time and sees a pair of glowing eyes watching them from behind. The girl swings her elbow, but he slips out of reach just in time, making her hit the pillar instead. Meanwhile, he quickly assesses that the duo has mid-level spear skills, and when she throws another punch, he blocks their strikes while noticing they're using an old-school team tactic to create an opening with a crossbow and finish with close combat. Just then, the other guy throws a hook from behind, but our guy pivots and goes in for a double strike, landing a hook to the girl's stomach and a spinning kick to the man's jaw. The impact sends the girl flying while the man staggers back, wondering what kind of force hit him before lunging forward to try again. Our guy spots the moves from afar, just like in the last fight, and predicts the opponent will start with a 4-hit combo, kicking off with a left downward slash. So before it even begins, he realizes he doesn't need to dodge, blocks the first hit, and throws a punch to the chest. As the fight goes on, his spatial awareness, reaction speed, and action prediction ramp up insanely, totally overwhelming the two assassins. The woman quickly figures out they weren't beaten by some kid, but by the strongest assassin among them, known as Toji. Right then, the crossbow guy laughs and says the hero's not bad, but he's done playing and shoves his hand in his pocket before his partner yells at him to stop because it goes against orders. But he shouts back that he can't just end it after being humiliated like this. Suddenly, a third voice tells him to stop, and a familiar figure appears, greeting our guy Toji and commenting that his brain transplant was a success. Our dude instantly recognizes him as the doctor from the Kuji organization and accuses him of being behind the whole brain transplant and linking him to the group. But the doctor tells him to chill, explaining that although he called him there, he wasn't the one who performed the brain surgery. He adds that he's also left the Big Will organization and promises to tell him everything that happened the day he died. Totally confused, our guy turns to Kuji and asks who he is. Kuji says he'll explain everything and tells Kaido there was an order to kill him, and the one who carried it out was none other than his partner Hayate. Hearing that name, our hero's expression instantly shifts to anger. Then Kuji explains the order was super top secret, known only by a select few, and he was one of them. He says he leaked all the info that allowed Kaido's brain to be recovered before the organization could hide it. Hearing that, Kaido asks if that means Kuji betrayed the organization and demands to know about the other two. Kuji says they're members of Argos, a special unit operating under direct command of the Japanese government. Their sole mission is to wipe out the Great Will organization. He adds they're commonly known as Argos and that they're the ones who transplanted Tuki's brain into Kaido's body. Hearing that, Tuki visibly gets pissed off finding out his brain was handled by the Japanese government. Raoul comments that it was his job as a public servant, while Rake politely says she's glad to meet him. Then she explains the government sees the Great Will organization as their biggest threat. Raoul adds that Toji's brain was preserved only because they needed his help. Meanwhile, Kaido struggles to process everything he just heard. Kuji tells him they had originally been monitoring the progress of his brain transplant and felt relieved they didn't have to kill him. But given the situation back then, his death had seemed inevitable. Hearing that, our guy asks if they knew he was going to be assassinated. Then they must have known Mirai was in danger. He shoots them a cold, piercing look that scares Rake. Raoul quickly says they had no idea, claiming they weren't even there at the time. As his head starts throbbing, our guy grabs it with one hand and asks if that weird power that lets him sense killing intent is also a side effect of the brain transplant. But before anyone can answer, he suddenly collapses unconscious to the ground, leaving everyone frozen, confused about what to do. While the others worry, Kuji seems more intrigued by the mysterious ability he just mentioned. Back at the Great Will organization, Hashima asks Isumi if Akatsuki has reported anything, and Isumi says there's been zero contact and Akatsuki has even cut off all communication. Isumi admits Akatsuki has always been hard to deal with, but he knows the 12 divine spears are allowed to do whatever they want as long as they don't challenge Odin. Then Hashima asks if he thinks it's possible for a member of the 12 divine spears to be defeated, but Isumi mocks the question, saying it's weird to hear a joke from him. He comments that unless they're dealing with Toji's ghost, he can't imagine Akatsuki losing to anyone else. Hashima agrees Toji's strength was monstrous, but reminds him the guy's already dead and his body was disposed of long ago. Still, Isumi mentions rumors that Argos might have uncovered something related to that. Both men agree that if there really is a spy among them, they need to act fast before things get worse. Fueled by rage, Hashima says they have to take out Argos first before turning their attention to Fenrir's place, and Isumi fully agrees. At the same time, our guy finds himself back inside the mental realm and quickly recognizes it as the place he's been before. Kaido appears before him and explains this is where their minds have merged. At that moment, Toji confirms he now understands Kaido's identity and asks if this strange space is his power. Kaido tells him he can use it in the truest sense, as long as he learns to trust his own instincts. Toji wakes up and notices the situation feels eerily similar to Suo's fight with Akatsuki, where he also collapsed from headaches and dizziness, only to wake up with Kaido's consciousness present. Kuji, sitting nearby, tells him they're currently inside one of his hideouts that connects directly to the parking lot they were at before. He then explains that exactly 1 hour and 50 minutes have passed since Toji collapsed until he finally woke up. He also ran several tests on Toji's brain while he was unconscious, confirming there were no issues with the neural connections. However, the brain activity is operating way beyond the normal range and spikes even more during combat. According to Kuji, the killing intent Toji senses is probably caused by this elevated brain activity, though he admits having an expert's opinion would be ideal. For now, he can say with certainty the condition is extremely dangerous. Kuji warns him the overload already caused him to be in a coma for hours, and if this keeps going uncontrolled for much longer, the strain will be fatal. Our hero slowly stands up, grabbing Suo's knife and pointing it straight at Kuji. He coldly reminds the man that he still hasn't answered the earlier question. He demands to know if Kuji let Mirai be taken just so he could recruit him. Keeping calm in his voice, Kuji replies he had no knowledge of that, so there's no reason to take out his anger on him. The man then asks if he would have preferred to die alongside her. Before the tension breaks, Raoul suddenly kicks the door open and Suo's voice interrupts, telling our guy to put the knife down. With a serious look on his face, he mocks the man, saying the Big Will organization is a dangerous group aiming to destroy the world, and now one of their crazy former members is sitting there trying to lecture them. Kuji steps in explaining Argos believes there are 2 keys to defeating the organization. The first is Toji, while the second is a sacred treasure known as the Fenrir Seed, something they're determined to protect at all costs. Hearing this, our hero's mind immediately recalls the moment Akatsuki went after Yusua for this very reason. Then he asks what they expect him to do. Hearing that, Raoul wastes no time provoking him again, saying he finally seems cooperative now, but Toji assures them that taking down the organization is something he's already decided to do with or without them. Raul agrees because a common goal makes him more trustworthy. With that, he lays out their plan. They're going to attack one of the organization's central facilities where our hero once worked. Few know it exists. It's the research institute where forced human evolution called Aelin was studied. It's also home to a special team dedicated to investigating the Fenris seed. If they can investigate Aelin, they can uncover everything about the treasure. Our guy thinks it might also lead him to the truth behind why Yusua is being targeted. Then he tells Kuji to give him all the operation details. When the day finally arrives, an aircraft soars high above an unknown location. Kuji is by his side explaining that if they manage to steal and destroy the research, it'll be a huge blow to the organization. The operation is about to start, and as he prepares for the mission, the clock ticks down with only 5 minutes left before the infiltration begins. With 3 minutes left before the helicopter reaches the target, Raul looks at Toji and asks if he's scared. Toji calmly replies he feels the same as Raul, though in his mind he silently thinks the moment he's been waiting for is finally about to happen. In the operations room, just before the attack starts, Kuji lays out the mission details. He explains the research facility is divided into 2 main sections: the above-ground complex, which has 20 floors, and the underground complex. In the past, this place served as a training ground for assassins, but now it focuses on research aimed at producing mutant assassins through genetic manipulation. Hearing that, Rake comments it's basically a factory turning ordinary humans into monsters. Continuing his report, Kuji states their main target is located on the 3rd floor of the underground section, where the most valuable information is stored. This includes crucial data about the Fenris seed. Then, Raul describes the mission's goal is to retrieve the data and, if possible, destroy the entire facility. For this, they'll split into 2 teams. One will draw the security force's attention while the other infiltrates the building. Though Aelin is an extremely classified facility, its defenses aren't on par with a proper military base. Still, the infiltration will be tough since they don't have precise knowledge of the internal layout. Toji offers to handle the infiltration himself, but Raul cheekily replies that was the plan from the start and hints he already knows why Toji has been kept alive up to this point. With a sly smile, Raul says our guy's life is going to be used for the greater good of world peace and adds he's coming inside with him, which means they gotta work together. With only 90 seconds left, Raul and Rake start giving their final orders. The dude tells everyone to stay in their assigned spots, while Rake tells the team that 10 people will head to the rooftop, and another 10 will go to the main entrance. She explains Suo's job is to make a loud, flashy entrance to keep security busy, giving Toji and Raul the chance to slip in during the chaos. Our hero promises they'll pull it off without a hitch, and Raul tells him they'll make Suo's entry from the south side. When the ramp opens, Raul notices he can barely see through the thick clouds, but our guy says he can clearly feel Aelin right below them. As Suo's landing spot gets closer, Toji turns to Raul and loudly announces he's no longer Toji, now he's Kaido Fujiwara. With that, the operation kicks off and everyone starts jumping out of the plane. Our hero flies through the air and Raul tells him he's going way too fast, but he doesn't hear him because he's thinking this is the big wig assassin training facility for the Will organization. And here's where he'll find out why they're attacking Yusua. When they reach the parachute drop zone, everyone opens their chutes and lands smoothly. Raul gets super mad at Toji because he thought our guy was gonna die, but it turns out he's already used to stunts like that. Clearly annoyed by Suo's non-stop chatter, our guy tells him to quickly hide his parachute before anyone sees it. They hide in the bushes and scout the area. Raul says things are going well, just like Kuji told them, so they should be able to sneak in easily from the south entrance. He tells Toji he'll open the shutter and suddenly there's an explosion on the roof above. Rake sends a message that, according to plan, both squads have started the distraction, so he tells them both to infiltrate the facility quickly. While Raul opens the shutter, our guy just stands there thinking this is finally the real deal. When the shutter opens, Raul tells him to take the lead and that he'll follow. Sirens blare and an emergency announcement goes off in the facility, saying there's suspicious activity and security teams must move immediately to the rooftop and main entrance. The investigators inside panic and wonder who would attack the organization. Since all security is busy, Toji and Raul move fast through the hallways together. Raul thinks Rake and the others are doing great and wonders if all security really moved to the roof and main entrance because it's way too quiet. Suddenly, Toji senses 4 enemies approaching, so he quickly ducks into a corner and attacks. He knocks the first guy out with a punch to the head and the others start shooting, but he dodges fast and takes them down with just 1 solid hit each. Raul is shocked at how fast he took out 4 enemies with only a knife and wonders how many he was holding back before when fighting them. Toji tells him the stairs are just ahead and they need to move fast now. Watching all this on a monitor, Izumi says they're infiltrating the facility with just 2 people, but they're pretty strong since they easily defeated their enhanced assassins. Meanwhile, Omega says the guys look pretty tasty and asks Isumi if he can do whatever he wants if he kills both of them, wishing for freedom like everyone else. With a sly grin, Izumi agrees and tells him Odin assigned him the task to protect Alan at all costs. He says he'd like to see Sua's power, and if he pulls this off, he won't just be officially recognized as a lance, but will also become part of the 12 Divine Lances. Hearing that, Omega gets hyped because it's the first time he can use his powers outside of an experiment and he's allowed to kill humans too. On the other hand, Raoul tells our guy they gotta move since enemies are coming, but he just stands there. While telling him to keep moving, Toji stays put and says this place was made exclusively to produce strong assassins like him through inhuman experiments, so he rejects their twisted belief that the only way to change the world is by taking innocent lives. Yes,